What makes a New York City influencer boring? Let's watch an example before we get into all the opinions.
Spend the day with me as a 20-something living in New York City. I started my morning by burning some sage because honestly my luck the past few days has been very questionable, so an energy cleanse was very much needed. I had a few exciting things planned today, but first I was meeting with my trainer for a quick workout, so I threw on this cute workout set from Abercrombie. It is so soft and I'm obsessed with the color. I then made my greens and had a few energy snack bites to get me through my workout. I also added a little bit of brown sugar to give it some sweetness. After the gym I hopped in the shower. After that I brushed out my curls and changed into a comfy outfit. I was invited to an exciting event with Soldier Gennaro, but before heading out I had a quick breakfast. Whenever I'm in a hurry I usually go for overnight oats, yogurt, or chia pudding, and I always top it off with granola. The event was at the One Hotel in Dumbo, so the drive there was so pretty. It was such a fun event. We got to make our own charms and try their newest launches. We also did meditation, sound healing, and even got the most relaxing massage. My favorite part was the acai bar after the massage. I easily could have eaten 3 of these. After the event, I took an Uber back to the city and met up with my friend Alexis at the nail salon to fix a broken nail, and then I just called it a night.
This is typical of what most influencers do in a day, so why are New York influencers being called boring when this is the industry standard?
Alright guys, I'm just gonna say it. I hate all of the New York influencers. I think that they're boring as They're all carbon copies of one another. They all wear the same exact fucking outfit. They all have the same exact fucking attention that someone else influenced them to get. Yeah. They all look like they shop on Revolve. They're all just like basic ass skinny, but they're skinny and pretty, so stuff looks cute on them. But boring. No hate. They just bore the fuck out of me. Does anyone else agree? Like, I feel like they should be the influencees, not the influencers. I don't know. Not even the New York ones. Just like all the these girls. They all get panic attacks. They all shop on Revolve. They all boring. Let me know if anyone agrees.
I just need to talk my shit as a native New Yorker for a second, okay? I'll just start by saying New York City influencers are boring. This is primarily because none of the mainstream NYC influencers are native New Yorkers. It's very rare that I meet a boring native New Yorker. I'm biased, but it's true. And with peace and love, it's like, what do you expect when you consistently platform a bunch of upper middle class and wealthy suburban white women? Because guys, as we know, rich people historically, famously, are not very cool. And usually they buy their way into, coolness or proximity to coolness. And the way in which these people interact with the city and the surrounding communities is also really telling. They don't go above 14th Street. They don't go into any boroughs outside of Manhattan. There's a lack of genuine open-mindedness and curiosity that I think is necessary to actual character development while living here. And for New York and boring to be in the same sentence, I simply know we've lost the plot. And I think this is in part because on social media, people reward wealth and they reward privilege, which is also kind of perpetuates the cycle of the rich getting richer, because it's we platform people who already have money and live luxuriously. This sort of perversion and glamorization of what it's like to live here just perpetuates this idea that it's a young, wealthy person's playground, which it certainly is not. It's actually a real issue that affects many people, and specifically, so many native New Yorkers, not even speaking for myself, but just people that, have to raise families here. My parents, I'm first gen, so my parents are immigrants. And I grew up with so many first gen kids, so many immigrants, and that's New York. And it is so interesting because of all the different perspectives. Eventually, the only people that are going to be able to afford to move to New York are going to be the boring rich people, and the city's going to lose so much of what makes it amazing. And obviously we already see that happening, and it's heartbreaking. It's just wild to me because the influencer version of New York City is a completely different world, and not in a good way. Actual New York is awesome, and nobody gives a that stuff. And I encourage you, if you are consuming content about New York, try to just get a variety of different perspectives. Honestly, I'm biased, but I would say follow some people from New York. Usually, to be honest, the perspectives are night and day, so I think it could be interesting at the very least.
I see influencers are boring because they're literally being factory produced. I saw this article in the Wall Street Journal in July. The article talks about how this one woman, Shauna Davis Ross, is behind so many of the influencers you know and love, helping them plan their content around a very specific lifestyle ideal. Look at this right here. You might call her the Frankenstein for the influencer marketing era, but what she's fashioned isn't a monster exactly, but a woman with an algorithmically covetable Manhattan life. Aloe yoga, Aperol spray, spritzes. Here at the bottom, you can see some of the people that she represents at her agency. Her article explains that when Shauna works with her clients, she applies almost this factory production method. When taking on a new client, she works with her team to build what she calls content franchises. These are posts in a format that are easily repeated, tried and tested, monetizable, and mainly appeal to brands, essentially codifying a formula. Here are my internet anthropology takeaways. I think what we have here is a classic case of the capitalism breeds innovation meme, where things continue to get more and more similar over time as everything is focus grouped into the ground. Hot take number 2, when the economy is doing good, y'all want to see aspirational content. When the economy is doing bad, you want to see more inspirational content. We are now in the inspiration wave, so creators with strong personalities, interesting hobbies, and with focuses on learning will gain traction. And we'll probably get back into aspirational creators when the economy recovers.
The reason you feel all NYC influencers are the same was because the criteria for being considered one was to be the same. The reason you feel all NYC influencers are boring is because the category was meant to refer to one type of influencer. NYC influencer, as we know it, was never meant to be a literal term for influencers that live in NYC. It was, and still is, more so of a term of art, so to speak, for a certain archetype of woman that lives in New York City, specifically the type that lives in Manhattan and maybe never leaves, a certain look, a certain aesthetic, a certain way they talk, a certain way they dress, and a certain group of people that they hang out with. If you ask me, I actually don't think there are that many reasons to categorize beauty, fashion, travel, lifestyle influencers by city. Let's be honest that one of the primary benefits of doing that is to make it easier for people to gossip about them. The way I see it, if a beauty influencer moved from Texas to New York City and did the same exact beauty content that she was doing at her house in Texas, what would now make her a New York City influencer? The fact that she moved here when nothing about her content maybe has anything to do with that. I'm going to be honest with you, as someone who is born and raised in New York City and has lived here my entire life, New York City does not feature prominently as a character in my content. It's who I am. It's not a niche. If you curate a following, if you curate a For You page around interests, whether it's beauty, fashion, travel, books, you can find all of those things in cities beyond where you live. I will see people who have stellar outfits in DC, in Johannesburg, in Paris, in London. I don't need to just follow people in New York City to find people who lead lives that I consider interesting. Emphasis on I consider interesting, because again, what's boring or interesting is subjective. And if the content that you are looking for is city specific, like restaurant reviews, hotel reviews, things to do, how to get tickets for less, and what you're looking for is probably someone like a restaurant reviewer, an events vlogger, not an NYC influencer, because as I said in the beginning, that term was never really synonymous with restaurant reviewer. I appreciate the tags and I appreciate the mentions as someone in New York City whose content that you enjoy and find interesting, but I'm starting to resent this cycle of someone complaining, a bunch of people rushing to the comments and handing people names and accounts on a silver platter, them following but never actually engaging because they were never actually genuinely interested in diversifying the content they consume. They were interested in proving a point. Yes, the For You page does push a certain type of demographic. It does amplify a certain type of woman's content. However, the algorithm in some ways still works. I'm traveling to a city soon and I looked up things to do in that city once. And now every 5 or so videos on my For You page is things to do in that city, a content creator in that city, sharing life in that city. The point is, if you search for it, it will appear. Yes, most of the time we search for things that are similar to us. So maybe, just maybe, the people you are seeing are the result of what you're searching for because they are similar to you. In which case, what does that tell us?
My entire For You page is about New York City influencers that are like boring or basic or whatever. It's like a little refreshing seeing hate videos that aren't just about me. You know, I know that I was probably included in that a little bit, but it wasn't just solely about me. And I'm like, pause really quickly before you make any crazy hate videos or make up some ridiculous story that never happened about me. Can you please wait until Friday, because I got invited on an influencer trip to Paris with DSW and I'm very excited and grateful and honored to be invited, and I would like to go and I don't want to get kicked off the trip. Please wait until Friday, sportsmanship. And Friday, it's a free-for-all, go for it. Anyway, sorry, to continue. Under this video about New York City influencers being boring and basic or whatever, every single content creator that's ever existed commented and was so upset and so butthurt. And all of those people that are commenting literally made hate videos about me and also commented on hate videos about me like it was their full-time job. And I'm just like, you guys wouldn't last one singular second in my shoes. Like, I don't want them to. I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy. I don't want anyone to get hate. Like, I handle it really good and I'm glad it happened to me and no one else. But it's like, you guys need to grow a pair or stop posting. Like, I don't know. Or like, grow a pair. Like, you live in New York.
So apparently New York City influencers are crashing out because a girl made a video calling them all basic and boring, and like she's low-key right, because I don't even really watch them, but I looked up New York City influencers. The first like 15, 20 videos I saw were like the same damn thing. And since then, so many New York City influencers have been like hating on the original girl, and it's like, grow the up, right? That is her opinion. That's her criticism of you, right? It's not hating. It's just her giving her valid opinion, which is saying you're boring. Now, obviously, all of them aren't boring. Like the one girl, Ayana, I follow her. She's so funny. Her content, I love it, right? Like that's true New York City right there. But I mean, to the original girl's video, like she's kind of right, because a lot of the New York City like influencers, it's like all doing the same thing. Oh, like, you know, get ready with me, like watch me shop here, watch me do this. It's nothing exciting. Like you live in New York City and you only post about typical things that, like, sure, some people find interesting, but some people are also like, hey, you live in New York City. There's so many different things to do. Why don't you actually show that? Like me seeing what your day in the life is and you just staying inside or you making this drink, that's not what they want to see. And I also don't understand why these influencers are crashing out, because you receive comments like this all the time. Like they called you boring. Oh well, who cares, all right? You receive 10 times worse comments. I know that for sure. And yet that doesn't get to you like being called boring. Maybe that's a reflection on you or like what you truly think. I don't know.
In the influencer world, it's actually highly profitable to be boring. And that might confuse most people because you would assume that someone that has a platform or is working towards a platform has a big, bold, you know, kind of eccentric personality at the least. But everyone has different intentions and goals when gaining a following. So if we're talking about these New York City influencers being boring, I think it's important to keep in mind that a lot of this execution is on purpose. A lot of this easily digestible, you know, personification of eggshell white content is very, very carefully calculated for the sake of making money. So if your intention with your platform is not just to have influence and to entertain people, but more importantly, to make money, one of the easiest ways to become a walking advertisement, a walking billboard, one of the easiest ways to become brandable is to water yourself down. And with that being said, white yourself out. And the thing is, for most of these influencers, there's no need to water themselves down and white themselves out. They're already white. They're thin, white, and oftentimes coming from wealth. And so they're so easily marketable. And here's the other thing. If these influencers cannot be perceived as cool by being authentically themselves and genuine, they're going to try and sell the idea of cool by living a lifestyle that most people cannot obtain and, more importantly, cannot afford. And I believe, despite the fact that I am an influencer, this is my job. Coolness and relatability cannot be defined by the upper class, by the wealthy, and therefore by the average influencer, right? Coolness and relatability are defined by the working class. You know who makes the culture? The working class. And so if you have lost touch with real people living real lives, you're not going to be cool. You're not going to be relatable. You might be easily digestible, but people aren't going to be intrigued by you or drawn to your content. It makes sense that people that are living lives that are relatively stress-free, pressure-free, and some would argue simple, it would make sense that they become boring. When you slip into being out of touch, you know, perhaps all of your friends are making a ton of money or all of your friends are other influencers. You don't have mouths to feed. You only depend on yourself. You yourself, you're making a ton of money. Yeah, you might end up being kind of boring. Let me put it this way, and people hate hearing this, but the funniest people I've met don't come from money. The people with the best style don't have all the money in the world to simply buy whatever clothes they want. The people that I have met that truly made a mark on me, that made me question myself, the people that have really complex stories to share and therefore they are complex themselves, they don't come from the white upper class. And let me be clear, it's not that Nepo babies, they all lack depth. It's not that they're all simple and boring and they all suck. It's not that. It's just that you can tell where someone's roots are more often than not. And with that being said, renting that apartment in Manhattan does not make you a New Yorker. You can't buy swag, you can't buy charm, and you can't buy depth. And therefore, you can't buy the cultural coolness, the aura that is attached to a certain city. I love New York City. It is my favorite city in the world. But I swear to God, every time I go, everybody and their mother knows that I am not from there. Also, guys, there's a lot of NYC influencers that are super flame. Many of them being transplants, many of them being my mutuals. You just gotta know what you like. Like, you guys are following a suburban... No, I'm a suburban girl. You're still following my ass. Like, just gotta know what you like.
Also, like, if someone called me boring, I wouldn't be mad because I know I'm not boring. Someone could call me Caucasian and that doesn't make it true. They'd be like, you're boring, and I'd be like, you're the president of the United States. Like, are we lying for fun now?
Maybe I'm biased, but I think it's user error. If you can name 3 to 4 New York City influencers, you are part of the problem. Because you are aware of them, you watch their stuff, you engage, and you fuel their bank accounts by giving them a platform to do all the boring shit they want to do here in New York City. Like, this is one of those gigs, being an influencer, where, like, people's financial, like, success is based off us, the people, right? The viewers. So I don't know, man. Like, I've never heard of these people in my life. Like, I look at the comments and I'm like, who the fuck are these people? Who are these people? Alex Earl? Girl, who the fuck is that? Like, I don't know a single one. I know me, and I think I don't know who else lives here. I don't know, man, but like, this seems like user error in my eyes, right? Like, some of you just do not follow people of color. And that sounds like a you problem.
I've been complaining for literally months about how New York City influencers contribute nothing to New York City, and they just post about how they're literally gentrifying the city, and suddenly everybody's talking about how boring these influencers are. It's worse than that. They're gentrifiers. They're raising rent. They're not contributing to small businesses. They're not contributing anything to the culture. In fact, they're complaining about the culture. You remember that whole, oh, Chinatown is so disgusting. The amount of hate on Flushing, East Brooklyn. Nobody goes to East Brooklyn, nobody goes to South Brooklyn. Which sucks, especially because I'm from New York City and they're making New York City boring. What the fuck? New York City is one of the most cultured cities in the entire planet. Like, and somehow they're managing to make it incredibly boring because they're not relatable at all. They're like upper white, upper class, which is so crazy to me because you're contributing nothing to the city but literally vlogging your gentrification process of raising rent prices for everybody. This is a problem with the housing market in New York City in general, but these New York City influencers that come from the suburbs, from fucking New Jersey and wherever the bumble from, and you come to New York City and suddenly you're a New York City influencer, like, oh, they're like the face of the housing crisis in New York City. It's insane.
I just watched a video of a girl saying she doesn't like New York influencers. They're boring as they're all carbon copy of each other. And what that just told me is you only watch white influencers. Because ain't no way you sitting there talking about New York influencers. When I think about New York, I think about Clark and I think about Emmy. If all I did for the next month was just watch both of their content, their old content, I will be entertained. Okay? So for her to say like all New York influencers are carbon copy of each other, we can tell what you're watching. Like, show me who you're watching and I'll tell you why you think it's boring. And honestly, your FYP is curated by you. What do you always watch? What do you support? Baby, if you want entertainment, maybe diversify what you're watching. I don't know. That's just a suggestion. Because on my FYP, when I see the girlies who live in New York, I'm always tuned to in. Okay? But I think it's so interesting because I'm like, I can tell what you watch. And I too would think it's boring. I am mad at her. But to group all of the New York influencers as one, talk about the carbon copies of each other, not the black ones.
Put your torches and pitchforks down. Put your guns down before I say what I'm going to say because you're not going to like it. But what's frying me about this whole conversation of like the New York City influencers are boring, and I know that I'm in the wrong, so like spare me the sure. It's just the fact that like if someone called me boring, but then in the same breath went on to call me pretty and skinny, I don't think I'd be mad. I would not be mad at it. I'd be, thank you. Period. You know what I need about, which leads me to my next point. Y'all know I live in New York, right? Because I couldn't help but notice while you're out here writing damn dissertations on the subject, calling these little bitches out for just being pretty and skinny. Why the my name not come up? Not one goddamn time. Hi, yeah, remember me? Why am I bitter? Why am I bitter? I don't even consider myself an influencer. In fact, I only use the term influencer in a derogatory manner. I don't even know what I would describe myself. To be honest, when I meet people in real life, I lie. I tell them I work in marketing, and I just leave it at that. And if they question why I have so many Instagram followers, I dead ass tell them that I bought them. I'm not kidding. I have for years pondered how to explain this in a way that I don't find personally embarrassing. I can't. Like, that's no shade to anybody. Yeah, the point of this video is anytime there's a conversation or discourse on this app, I must find a way to make it about me, and that is how I've decided to do it in this case. You want to start listing off these little bits of New York who are just pretty and skinny, I think my name should be on the list. You want to call me boring after, that's fine. I don't give a fuck. Call me worse, actually. Cuss out my entire bloodline, I don't give a shit. The second you utter the words pretty and skinny, that's all I'm gonna hear. I fear.
As a New York City content creator, I have gone to hundreds of events. A lot of the times, there's a specific group of New York City influencers that attend these events. I am telling you, they are not nice people. I am not going to say who it is. I will provide you of things that I've witnessed going to these events with these people. So I went to a rare beauty event last year. Literally, we're looking at other girls like this. Like, I wish I was exaggerating, but I'm not. At that event, I saw my favorite creator, Monet with Michael. Monet, I love you! I saw her and I knew that I wanted to talk to her. Doing so, I rushed over to where she was. I accidentally bumped one of those girls. I was like, oh my god, I'm so sorry. And this girl turned around, looked at me, looked at her designer bag, and looked back up at me. Literally went like this. And my jaw was on the floor. In my head, I was like, you are an influencer, you are not famous. There is a big difference. And I've been to other events with them, witnessed them just straight up be rude to other people. Specifically, people that are literally coming up to tell them they love them and they love their content. Their vibe is just really cocky and uninterested. Now, granted, this is my experience with these people. These girls give mean girl energy time after time, event after event, etc. And it sucks, especially for creators like me. We don't have the biggest following, but we are good people. And that the people at the very top that have a larger following aren't necessarily the nicest. Again, this is my experience. Sucks to see. But I guess at the end of the day, I know that I'm a good person. And I can sleep well at night knowing that.
I'm going to say it because no one else wants to. Everyone's so focused on the New York influencers. The LA influencers are just as boring, if not worse. I've been to parties with LA influencers and they will stare right through you when they speak. And the conversations are so boring. It's like, who does your Botox? Oh my god, I love that shirt. Where did you get it? Oh my god, what are you drinking? No, I'm not drinking right now. It is so hard to have conversations with them. And all their videos online are either paid ads, which are just boring, or they're saying get ready with me's for places that you're never gonna go. And it's just like, it's unrelatable. It's so unrelatable. Not to mention, every time they have tea or drama, it's all made up so that their engagement goes up or the audiences merge. It is literally all made up. Even when it's not made up, they're so fake about it that the next time they'll see the person in public, they'll just be like, oh, hey, and they'll make up. Honestly, I prefer watching the smaller creators on this app anyway because they have a personality, they're funny, they're relatable, and they put time and effort into their video.
As many of the creators have said, New York is such a melting pot of culture and activity. If you find New York City influencers boring, maybe you are not as interesting as you think you are, because there are millions of creators putting out great content and there is no shortage of creatives on TikTok for you to binge watch. It's called a For You page for a reason. It is created by you and for you.